code apple. I repeat, code apple. So I'm doing the video description, the 5-minute video describing my architecture. This pretty much is my product right here. Basically, I put all the classes that I work with, except for the triangle sprite, since it should have been sprite, and the modification to the Azul core level. Everything else is impersonal, and hopefully my filters are descriptive. We have a box2d, which is pretty much only my conversions. It's called pixel to meters. It's a little bit different from the one in class, just because I use a class to convert and revert. I get that this is a little bit more expensive. I just find it a lot more readable, so that's what I did. Then you have component entities. When I started this project, what I decided was that I was going to try to follow X and A, and these are basically the classes from X and A that I implemented. So if we look at the header files, we have draw a game component, which inherits from game component from iDrawable, which is like the interface that just contains draw. And then game component, pretty much in this case, since we knew it was a box2d game, I added the body, and then the collision object, and basically a type for object types. Inside this folder is where I guess most of the magic happens. This components. Components, I got birds, different types, birds, blocks, enemies. Enemies are just a pig, blocks are blocks, different type of blocks. Birds are all the birds. I have a base bird, and then I have a derived bird for every one of the type of birds. Something important in blocks though, so you have the normal blocks, and mostly for each of these classes, all you have is a constructor, and that's it. But wood row block and drawbridge wood block component, which are basically my opening and closing lid that I use on level 5, and my rope. Those two implement more, and if you can see, they also implement update, initialize, and whatever, because I had to put a bunch of logic to handle the way that linking them to their other object works. I only implemented them for wood, so you don't have ropes, glass ropes, or stone ropes, or anything like that right now. Okay, enemies. I have the helmeted pig, which is pretty much just a pig with extra life. My normal pig has 300 lives, and my helmeted pig has 600. I looked around, and when class talked about it having a helmet and whatever, but after testing in the game, that's not how it seemed to be working. So I ended up just pretty much using, just doing this with the live. Then random physics elements, I have the ground, which is pretty much a class that I originally defined just for the ground itself. That pretty much like it has all the settings for the ground, specific friction that I wanted, angular dampening, and all the settings. And it's fairly empty. This is pretty much what it looks, just like a normal game component. Then I have the invisible anchor. This is just basically one block, really small block that you can put anywhere. So you're able to like anchor things without having to put like a special block. In this case, I use it for the rope. It's like the initial block for the rope. And the physics component, it's just a wrapper on world. Basically, all it does is it wraps world so you can like use it. I have my own logic here. It's not the same that everyone's using class, but I found that this was what worked out for me. And I didn't want to touch it at the end when the new simulation came out because I already liked it. I saw it was getting bugged on the machines at DePaul when I went over there. So that's why I did this limitation. If iteration counts bigger than 3, we make it 3, so we only run this 3 times because it was actually bugging down pretty badly on the machines there. After doing this and trying out on the machines at DePaul, it seemed fine. Okay, as we go down, we get the slingshot. In the slingshot, we have slingshots divided into 3 parts. So basically, you have the wooden platform that you can put the slingshot on top. You have the slingshot component, which pretty much has data. It's the drawing of the slingshot itself, and the slingshot base component. That this is actually the other part of the slingshot, the actual so they handle kind of thing. Basically, the idea out here was that you had two, so I could like, if I wanted to split the extension or move it from places, I could. Here you have the egg component, which is a projectile that's fired from. It's fired from the white bird. So you have this circular explosion. He calls when he gets fired, like all my birds, they have like the same methods, and all my components. So in update, he has like a logic to be dead. That when not dead, get updated, and then for firing, it releases explosion, releases smokes, and gets instance. Right now, I'm not actually destroying any objects in my game. I decided to go that way at the beginning because we hadn't talked about the how to destroy objects, and it was actually working. And since I don't have level switching, you can't really keep replaying the levels. You have to restart the application, so I never actually went to do deletion. But anyways, this is how you call my explosions and all my particles. You call circle explosion class, and then you pass the parameter in. If you look at my constructors, for every class I got the center of the object, a physics component that everybody takes, and then the game list, which is actually what the level uses to do their stuff. You go to interfaces, they came, I'm using a C# convention because I pretty much copied them from XNA, and they're basically just abstract classes. They really don't have anything, or they pretty much should be abstract, but they're, yeah, I made some methods that are empty just so people could call them and not have to implement it if they didn't want it. Yeah, they don't really have much. They're just, I was hoping that I could like implement draw order, but when I went to look at it, it would destroy the sprite batch pattern that was in there. So I decided to like just leave it there and not do anything with it. And then iDamageable is what I use to damage my blocks. You can take you can take damage, or you can do a calculation for will it destroy, which is what we use to do the punch through walls. Okay. So let me close the components and the interface folder. So now we're in managers. I really only have one thing that I'm managing that I personally wrote, which is the smoke ring controller. He has two lists, and he alternates the list. It's a static class. It alternates a list and then deactivates the other one. This actually does delete. The smoke rings is literally the only thing I'm deleting in the whole game, because otherwise I'll have millions and millions of smoke rings. Yeah. Actually, I think I might be deleting particles too, but everything else doesn't really delete. It just gets deactivated and everything turns off. This is what it looks like. So you start the series. You basically say start series, and then you do add. You just add the positions, and he takes care of everything to know if you should put the dot or not. Has a clear that pretty much wipes every single smoke thing there and resets this to original space. So my circle explosion is another static class, and it has three methods: release explosion, release smoke, and release feathers. They're pretty similar. They basically all cause a circular particles to a circle of linear particles to be created. Yeah, this is basically what it is. It shoots them up, the linear particles, and it throws them up. The big difference is that release smokes and release feathers, one of them basically, both of them don't have collisions, and then one of them is affected by gravity, because I wanted the feathers to like fall like gravity kind of thing. And the other thing is the release feathers rotate, so you see the particle angle that causes them to rotate. Linear particle is just a class that takes care of. It looks pretty similar to every other meta classes. I have a lot of duplication that I probably should remove, and with center X and width and height. Probably needed a base class for that stuff. I kind of realized like after, I don't know, like 2 or 3 days that I needed it, but I never actually implemented it. So here are my levels. My levels basically are just a game component. They don't have anything special. They're like a normal game component. They have an initialize, update, and draw. I do all my preloading of the images in a Soul Core level 9, and then on the levels I pretty much goes like this. It just, in initialize I set the batches, and then I just start creating game sprites So the game sprite part's for the background, but then I like start just pushing into a list all my objects that I go creating. This object's a little bit special. The nest, which is an array of pointers that pretty much keeps track of all my birds. I should have probably wrapped this around a class. Yeah, it basically it's just used, and then it's passed to the mouse test, and the logic for how to handle the bird itself is not in the slingshot, but it's in the input file. You mentioned in class that there's a back practice, but that's pretty much how it ended. Keyword test just has controls for the camera. They're pretty much what was shown in lecture 10. There's nothing very hardly different. I think the only difference that I'm using numpad minus and numpad plus for zooms. Yeah, so this is how it works. Basically, I check the mouse, I check the keyword, I update my physics, and then I update all the elements from my array. So basically, I'm not using the chain list from box2d, but inside the update of any component, he looks for the fixtures to see any change. It's pretty much the same for every level. I think the only one that's a little bit special, it's custom level 3, because it's where the ropes is. So you have the invisible anchor, and then you have an extra list that causes a rope to be generated. So if you change these 14, it will turn into, I don't know, whatever else you want. So Sound Engineering Manager and Sound Engineering Manager, the H was pretty much the sound implementation that was getting class for ICLAN. There's nothing special about it, so I'm not actually going to open it. On Sprite, I implemented a triangle model because I thought it was the easiest way. It's pretty much a copy of the box model with one point that was changed. So I implemented triangle sprite to follow it. Okay, so last but not least, so Core low 9, which is the main thing. All the graphics are low here. They're like all loaded there. Over here, initialize the level. It just has an array of levels. So if you want to switch levels, I don't have a way to switch except going here and be like 0 to 4. That's pretty much how you get all my 5 levels. Let's see what else. So yeah, I had to use a lot of inheritance to get everything done. And that's pretty much my project. Oh yeah, I forgot. In personal here, it's also my angry contact listener, and he has in pre-solve has the logic for the punch through, and then in post-solve actually has the logic for impact. I decided to split this way because what I kept seeing was that pre-solve didn't actually always come with the values that I wanted. Anyway, sorry it took me a little bit long, but that's it.